rather than a sprawl.
Is that what keeps saying to me here?
Yes. Yeah. So.
Ow. Oh, God.
All right, so let's talk about this, right? Typically, when we talk about like takedown defense, I would say, and you've wrestled, the universal takedown defense. You're good. Takedown universal defense that people tend to resort to is a sprawl. I think that's like your standard. A lot of people live by it, and it's still a great takedown defense. I have subtly, without even kind of realizing that I was doing this, have been resorting to more of like a hip check. Reason being, I want to stay on my feet. The problem with a sprawl is that if he goes for a shot, right, and I sprawl out, we're ending up on the ground. Like that is the only place that we are going, which is fine, but I have to work to get back up to my feet, or I have to work to pass. We'll come back down to the position, right? So if I get here, because there's a good chance that when we get to this position, he's gonna be actively looking to grab, and I have to, kind of square up and do this. And even if I can post on the head and I can start backpedaling a little bit, he's going to get up and immediately charge. And again, we're gonna kind of be like right back into that scramble, or let's go back down again. From the sprawl position, if I can't work back up to my feet, or if I need to stay on the ground for whatever reason, I now have to work past his head, I have to work past his arms, and I have to get around to the side, which in and of itself is gonna be another fight. Now, when I hip check, and the way that I'm hip checking again, is if we're already in a tied up situation, again, this can be for sport, this can be for combatives, it's great for law enforcement if it's a situation where I'm trying to calm down a dude or get hands on with a guy, and for whatever reason they just change levels and just try and blast through me, I can just shift my hip and I'm driving my hip into him, hip check. Whereas if I teach like an officer to sprawl back, there's a chance that this officer is gonna end up in a bad position, and if this guy gets a good sized grip on that leg and they have any sort of grappling experience, they could very easily circle, work the cop or whoever down to the ground, and it just puts me in a bad spot, right? The hip check allows me to stay up. So when he shoots and I shift my hip and I drive into them a little bit, even if I'm squared up right like this, right? It doesn't take much for me to go from here to here. I'm fully posted on this foot. So if he's really driving into me, it's gonna be a lot more difficult for him to really drive me away, because I'm using this foot completely compared to when my hips are squared up, that foot's gonna slide, right? If from this position, he starts picking up my leg, right, then I can easily start hooking, and then we can work on, single leg defenses from there. Now, the other added benefit to working a hip check, right, and let's just change the angle for the camera for this purpose, right? The moment I hip check, my near side hand here can immediately shoot through and start cranking on the whizzer to apply pressure onto that shoulder. My secondary hand can either start posting on the head or even start circling the head and scooping the head, right? So I have two hands now that are actively doing something. So if we're from this position and he shoots in, I hip check, I apply the whizzer, I crank down on the head, and now I take this leg and start stepping back with it. I'm in a pretty good position where from here, I can now immediately clear the distance. I can draw if I need to. I can also, from this position, kind of circle around and get behind him. So the hip check allows me to stay on my feet easier and allows me to apply a lot of other things. If for whatever reason I need to take this person down off of a hip check, right? I can still kind of apply into him. I can look to like scoop. I can scoop close, get that inside sweep, drop them, end up on top. From here, we can work to side control, whatever we want to do. So I still have the option to bring him down to the ground if I want to, but it's gonna be in my terms rather than me just kind of sprawling out. Now, the other thing to kind of take note, right? If he was faking me, so this is, I guess, kind of more for sport. If he's kind of faking these shots, I'm sure we've all seen videos where a dude gives a real good fake and the other person bites it and completely kind of sprawls back, and you just made a fool of themselves. Compared to if I stand here and he, fakes it out and I kind of just turn my hip a little bit, I'm not giving him any tell that I'm actually biting onto that fake, so it makes it a little bit more difficult for him to find a good opportunity to shoot, because in his eyes, I'm not taking the bait, right? When in reality, I'm going from here and just kind of shifting my hip a little bit in preparation for it, but it's a small little note. Now, when should you use a hip check versus a sprawl? Because they both are still gonna have their place. You still need to know how to sprawl. If he's really far out and he's just going for like a Jordan Burroughs deep double leg, real low, like that's a good time for me to sprawl, because we're far enough away, I can sprawl and stuff him. The other thing is, like, let's say I was already tied up with him, I was kind of in like a position like this, and now he changes levels and grabs my leg. I can't really hip check him from here because he's already got the legs, and I need to get these grips free. So from this type of situation, yeah, I'm gonna sprawl back and look to stuff him, get my leg clear, get the grip broken, and then I can go from there. But in my opinion, the hip check is the new and improved sprawl, And in my opinion, it's a better way to shut down and stop a takedown, which ultimately will allow you to stay on your feet and work from a more effective position from there. So give that a shot. Stay safe.